Have you ever promised yourself you'd change, only to wake up the next morning and do the same old things again, and again, and again? You dream of success. You imagine a better life, a stronger version of yourself, a future where you are proud of who you've become. But every morning, comfort feels easier than action. This is the story of someone who felt exactly like that, until one day, everything changed. Once upon a time, in a quiet village surrounded by rolling green hills, clear rivers that shimmered in the sunlight, and fields of golden wheat dancing in the wind, there lived a young blacksmith named Ethan. He was strong, intelligent, and incredibly skilled with a hammer and anvil. The villagers admired him deeply. They often said that Ethan could become the greatest blacksmith the land had ever known. But Ethan carried a heavy flaw inside him. He was lazy. Not because he lacked ability, but because he feared effort. He dreamed of greatness, yet never moved toward it. Each morning, Ethan woke slowly. He brewed his tea, sat outside his workshop, and watched the clouds drift across the sky. I'll start tomorrow, he told himself. Or maybe next week. There's no rush. And so, tomorrow never came. Days turned into weeks. Weeks turned into months. And his dreams stayed trapped inside his mind. Ethan's workshop was filled with unfinished work. Shining iron waited patiently. Heavy hammers rested in silence. Half-forged tools lay abandoned on wooden tables. Farmers needed plows. Guards needed swords. Villagers needed repairs. Everyone waited for Ethan. Yet he delayed, whispering to himself, "I'll do it when I feel ready." Some afternoons, he sat by the river, watching the water flow smoothly past the stones. He imagined applause. He imagined respect. He imagined people praising his name. But as the sun dipped below the horizon, he always returned home with empty hands, comforting himself with the same lie. Tomorrow, I'll start for sure. One morning, his best friend Daniel, a hard-working farmer with tired eyes and honest hands, came to visit him. "Ethan," Daniel said gently, "why do you keep waiting? You have such rare talent. If you worked, you could help everyone, including yourself." Ethan shrugged, his voice casual but uncertain. "I'll work when I feel like it." Daniel's face fell. "You're wasting your gift," he said quietly. "One day, you will regret this. Dreams mean nothing without action." Ethan forced a smile, but inside, something stung. He wanted to be better. He wanted to shine. But the fear of discomfort held him back, and he returned to his comfortable laziness, pretending it caused no harm. Time passed, and the village grew restless. Farmers complained about broken tools. Gods worried about unfinished weapons. Children whispered and pointed. One day, the village chief arrived at Ethan's workshop. His voice was firm. "Ethan, your delays are hurting everyone. Farmers can't work. The village depends on you. If you don't change, you will lose your place here." Ethan's heart dropped. For the first time, he truly felt the weight of his choices. That night, he sat alone, staring at a half-forged sword. The moonlight reflected off the cold iron. "I want to be great," he whispered, "but I can't even force myself to begin." The next morning, a stranger arrived. An elderly man with weathered hands and calm eyes. It was Samuel Allegere, blacksmith, known for both skill and wisdom. "I see talent in you," Samuel said softly, "but talent alone means nothing." Ethan listened closely. "Do you know the secret to greatness?" Samuel asked. Ethan shook his head eagerly. "Disciplined," Samuel said. "It is forged like iron. You must hammer it every single day, even when your hands ache, even when your mind resists. Start small. Work for 5 minutes, then 10, then an hour. Show up daily. Motivation fades. Action remains." Ethan decided to try. That first day, lifting the hammer felt heavy. His arms ached. His mind begged him to stop. But he worked for 5 minutes, then 10, then 30. By sunset, the small plow was finished. It wasn't perfect, but it was done. The next day was harder. Every excuse returned. "I'm tired. I can rest today." But a quiet voice inside him said, "Show up anyway." So he did. Slowly, something changed. A sword he polished gleamed brighter than he imagined. A farmer smiled with genuine relief when Ethan handed him a finished tool. Children stopped whispering and watched him work with wide eyes. Days became weeks. Each morning was a battle, but Ethan lifted the hammer anyway. Each night ended with progress. Momentum grew, strength followed. Months later, the workshop was alive. Finished tools lined the walls. Swords shone, plows stood strong. People came from distant villages, speaking his name with respect. When Samuel returned, he smiled. "Look at what you've built." Ethan nodded. It was hard. Some days I wanted to quit, but I forced myself. Now, I feel proud. I feel alive. Samuel's voice was steady. That is the power of discipline. Never wait for feelings. Be the person who works when it's hard. That is how greatness is born. Ethan learned a truth that changed his life. You are not weak. You are not broken. You simply need to take one small step. Action creates momentum. Discipline shapes character, and character builds a life worth living. From that day on, Ethan became more than a skilled blacksmith. He became proof that change is always possible, no matter how long you've waited. If this story moved you, inspired you, or reminded you of your own potential, then like, share, and subscribe to this channel.